Welcome to yet again another experience. Some you can't define, but lucky for you, I can explain a little bit, just based off of the brevity of my experience. And speaking of experience, you can't explain your way into authority. You can't narrate yourself into that position. See, authority comes from decisions that can't be undone. See, what the thinking class fails at is that. And the reason why it fails at that because it avoids irreversibility. Well, just accept it. See, that's the line that can't be crossed, and the reason why imitation never lands. And the reason why imitation never lands is because the experience is missing. And the reason why the experience is missing because it was avoided in the first place. See, this isn't about calling people out. It's about exposing the difference between lived-in authority versus the borrowed language. See, people can copy the language of growth without having lived through the conditions of it that produced growth. That's what really creates the language. That's what creates the effect. See, that's the difference between sound versus source. So you can mimic the words that I say, but you can't fake the weight that I carry. See, some people sound attached while other people are just attached, Let me say it again for you. Some people can sound like they're detached while others are just detached. See, experience doesn't emphasize because experience has its own gravity. It has its own language, its own philosophy. See, if it didn't cost you anything, it's not going to convince anyone. What the lay people call that, they call that the anointing, right? See, talking about boundaries is easy. But, my experience of letting people lose access to me wasn't. See, boundaries aren't spoken. They're actually felt. People don't know how important the air is until, it's gone. See, the thinking class explains endless babble, while I just decide once and teach you how. See, clarity doesn't need permission. Just like men don't need closure, they need alignment. Just like men don't need to argue with their reality, they need to accept it and move through it like a man is supposed to. Just like, caring doesn't mean absorbing what you didn't create, or compassion, having it, but having it without limits becomes your self-betrayal. And to lie to yourself is the most graven sin that you can commit. See, the thinking class sounds hollow when it tries to mimic my energy. See, the thing is, you can't narrate your way into authority. So that's exactly what a female does and what a female is, essentially, in the makeup. Reframing things instead of taking the accountability, instead of taking the acceptance of the reality and learning how to grow from that. It's one thing to quote detachment, but I actually paid for it. It's one thing to theorize loss, but I've accepted loss. It's one thing to explain growth, but I've survived it. And not only did I survive it, I've prospered in it. See, this is what the thinking class tries to explain. See, you can't explain life unless you know how to move through it. And not only do I know how to move through it, I can show you the receipts. You know? And the receipts are the revelation and the calculation to your masculine maturation, to your maturity in thinking, to your maturity in being and thinking. See, I oppose things as questions because I want people to think about their own thinking. And then after they think about their own thinking, make the decision. Instead of the endless mental masturbation. If you want to grow and become great, then listen to me. If you want to just be stagnant and show a whole lot of busybodiness and blend in with the rest of the mediocre tutorials, then so be it. And what I mean by the mediocre tutorials is explaining